So far we've seen how to create reports using different reporting tools that we have in Business Objects like Web Intelligence, Crystal Reports, and Excel sheets, and also Universe Designer, how we build a semantic layer and how to connect to the semantic layer. So now as a report developer, we have different tools to develop the reports, and once we build those reports on our local machine, so in order to distribute those reports to the clients, so we need to have a centralized location which is known as Business Objects Enterprise, wherein we publish all the reports into the enterprise and we share that information through browser called InfoView. So now we know how to publish the reports one by one while developing the report in the reporting tools. So apart from that, uh, especially for Crystal reports, you have a separate tool called Publishing Wizard. So if you observe here, Publishing Wizard. So this Publishing Wizard is used to publish bulk reports, bulk Crystal reports, only Crystal. And apart from Crystal reports, you can also publish files like Word document, PDF, Excel, whatever the supported file formats of your Business Objects Enterprise. So using this, if you have a folder that consists of 100 different Crystal reports, you can publish at a time. So let's see how that works, and we'll see what are all the different ways to publish the different types of reports that we have. So publishing Crystal reports, so one of the options that we know is wherein in Crystal reports itself you have an option called Save As, and select the enterprise folder and select the folder where do you want to save it and click on Save button. So this is how we save the Crystal reports into our Business Objects Enterprise other than our local machine. And apart from that, how do we save it through CMC? So even from CMC, you have an option to add a Crystal reports, wherein so you when you log into CMC, you have under Objects, select Report and browse for a file on your local machine and select that and select the folder where do you want to save that Crystal report and click on OK, which is going to save the report from the browser as well. From CMC, you can save the Crystal reports into Business Objects Enterprise. And these are all the supported objects of your Crystal of your Business Objects Enterprise application. Now, how do we publish Web Intelligence document? The same thing, wherein you also have Save As option and select Business Objects Enterprise and save it. Now, let's see how do we publish Crystal reports using Publishing Wizard. So let's just show you the direct steps here. As soon as you open Publishing Wizard, click on Next. Now, where do you want to store or where do you want to publish all your reports? You need to provide server details. I'm going to provide server login credentials. Now, so here you can start adding files or folders that consist of bulk reports. So I'll just click on add. These are all reports that you have. I'll choose one, open, and add another file that if you want. I'll select all files, and you can also choose Excel documents, and you can also choose PDF files, or you can add a complete folder that consists of more than 100 Crystal reports to publish. So like that, you can choose all the files and you can add it here and click on Next. Where do you want to store those files? I want to store in the training folder. So here is the place where I want to publish. Click on Next. So these two are going to be published here. And then Next. Categories. Now before you publish, do you want to run a schedule job. So normally after we publish, by logging into InfoView, we run the job. But here, at the time of publishing itself, you can set some recurring schedule options. Wherein, when do you want to schedule it, what is your destination, and what is the time that when it has to run and send the output. So we'll see more options in InfoView, but here in Publishing Wizard, if you have any crystal reports that you are publishing, you can set some schedule options for that. So now, click on Next. Now, if you have any repository objects, one of the example that we have seen is using the company logos from uh, repository folder. So wherein, if you have any repository objects used in your crystal reports, make sure that you check this option so that it's going to refresh your repository objects before it refreshes your report. And now next, keep saved data when publishing. So this crystal report is going to contain some data. The last refresh instance is going to save as a saved data, and if you want that to be included, so as soon as if you log into InfoView and if you open this report, you will not be able to see the current data. That's a historical instance saved data what you have in it, and you need to click on refresh button to see the current data. If you don't want to keep that saved data, you can uncheck it and click on next. Now, publish without modifying any properties of your crystal reports. But if you have decided to modify any properties, select the second option and click on next. So this is going to show you the properties of your crystal reports, wherein you have a title and description, wherein you can change the description if you want, and click on next. Now, and apart from that, if you have any prompts, for example, here you have department prompt, so you can edit that prompt and change the values at the time of publishing it. And also you can set to null so that whenever you run the report, it's going to prompt you. And next, and if this is okay, so whenever you schedule a report, what format that you want as an output, so that you can set it here, but we are not scheduling it here. And then if you have, it's not showing database connectivity, but if it is from SQL Server, it will also prompt you to change the connection as well before you publish the report. So once you are done with this, when you click on next, it's going to publish. Finish. Done. In this manner, we publish bulk reports into our business objects enterprise, and you will be able to see all those published content by logging into your InfoView. So here is the file that we published. The other file is CR consumer. There you go. So like that, you can publish multiple reports into your business object server using Publishing Wizard. So this Publishing Wizard is especially for crystal report related tools to publish bulk reports into your business objects enterprise. Apart from that, it also supports file formats like PDF, Excel, Doc, Word. So that is about Publishing Wizard, and apart from this Publishing Wizard, we also have one more tool called Import Wizard. Import Wizard. So what is the use of this Import Wizard? So in real time, we have multiple servers like Test Business Object Server, Dev Business Object Server, and Production. So whatever that you develop, it's going to be under Dev Business Object Server, and you need to move those reports to Test Business Object Server machine so that testing people will test the report, and if everything goes fine, then you can move it to your production. But if you have any issue, you need to move it back to your dev, wherein your development people are going to take care of all those issues and then again send it to test. So here, from one business object server to the other business object server, in order to move the content, so we are not going to develop again reports in Test Business Object Server. Whatever that we have in dev, we need to move that content to test. So to migrate the content, we need Import Wizard tool. We don't have any transport here. Here we have only Import Wizard, like how we published using Publishing Wizard. In the same manner, Import Wizard helps us to transport the content of one business object server to the other business object server, which is on demand. Here. So this Import Wizard is just going to migrate the content, and using this Import Wizard, you can also move the content from old business object server applications to latest business object server application. Something like you have your server which is an XAR2 and you want to move the content to XAR3. Yes, you can also still be able to do that, which means Import Wizard is not an upgradation tool. It's still migration tool, wherein it migrates the content from one server to the other server. But here, the scenario wherein you are migrating the content from older version to latest version, even there also it is moving the same content. The version of the reports, whatever that you migrate, still XAR2 itself, even if you are in 3.1. But the reason how it works and why it works, even if you are moving the content from different version of Business Object Server, is Business Objects Enterprise always, latest version is always backward compatible. If you are running a report which is developed in XAR2, you should be able to run it in 3.1 because backward compatibility is always possible. So Import Wizard is a pure migration tool from one server to the other server of business objects. Now let's see how it works. So the first step what you need to follow here is you need to provide source connection to your server. What is your source business object server? And you have an option of choosing the version, which version it is. So here I'm going to choose source. I don't have multiple servers, I have only one. So I'll show you how we can select the content from the source server. Log into my machine and click on next. In the next step, you need to provide destination server. So to which destination server you need to move that content from that source. So in this destination, select the target business object server, and you can move the content from one server repository to the other server repository directly. But as a best practice, what you need to do is you need to move from the source to a file and send that file to your business objects admin of your production team, and he is going to import the content from that file. So I'm not directly moving the content from one server to the other server. Destination I'm going to choose as BIAR file, BIAR, which is Business Intelligence Archive resource file. This file I am going to generate on top of my desktop. I'm going to name this as sample. Now click on next. Now these are all the options that you get to move the content. Not only reports, you can also move the content of personal documents, whatever that you have, application rights, what you define, users and user groups, what you created in Dev Machine, and which user group has which right on a specific folder. 100% information of your business objects enterprise can be moved from one server to the other server. You can replicate it by moving the 100% content from the source to destination. But here, I'm just selecting some selected items here, rather selecting all, clear all, and I'll select only objects. In addition to that, I need some universes. Wherein here I'm just moving folders and objects and their related universes to the target server. So other than that, I'm not choosing any other options like user security and all those things. But first time when you move it, you can select all and you can move the content. So here you have two types of loading. One is full load and the second one is a detail load or an update load, wherein you already have the content in production. You're not moving it for the first time, but whatever the changes that you made, only that content that I want to move. So if you want to move completely, select all the options, whatever that you have. But if you want to move only the selected items from the source to target, so select what you want from the source and click on next. And next. Now here it's going to show you all the access levels, which is related to security. So I don't want to move any access levels to my target. So I'll create in target based on my requirement. So next. Now these are all the folders that you have, and I'm going to choose some specific content that I want. For example, here under report samples, I have some reports, crystal reports. I choose these 3 reports. And apart from that, feature example, I have some weather reports. And then along with these reports, if you want to have any instances are nothing but if you have a scheduled instance in Dev Machine, you can also move those instances. But no one wants to move the instance because the data what you see in Dev Machine is not production database data. But if you want any instances, you can also select this option. Whatever the reports that you have chosen, along with the reports, the instances, related instances are also moved to your production machine. Click on next. And here I don't have any selection folders to choose. Next. Now, so while importing the universes, how do you want to import? Import all the universe and connection objects, or import universes and only connection objects used by the universes, or import universes and connections, those universes related to the Weba and Crystal reports that you chosen in the previous step. You have multiple options while moving the content of universe. If you have selected around 10 reports, if you want to move only the content related to those 10 reports, because those 10 reports are always dependent on semantic layer. So only those semantic layer that you want to move, you can. Or if you choose the first option, you'll get an option of other than that. By default, it's going to be selected. Other than that, if you want any other universes that you want to move, select the first option, click on next, and this has nothing to do with this. In this step, we don't have any publications. See, I have selected all the universes. So if you don't want to select all the universes, if you want only related to the reports that you have chosen, click on next. Now if you observe, there are some universes which are already selected. See eFashion, which is already checked. You cannot uncheck it because this eFashion is used to build the selected reports in the previous step. we have selected some reports of Web Intelligence and Crystal reports. If they are using this eFashion as a source, automatically the dependent objects will be moved. You cannot stop moving it. It's going to move the related universes. Apart from that, if you want any other universes to be selected, then enable them and click on next. So overall, this time I have selected 2 universes and you have 2 connections, and apart from that you have 4 different folders, 6 objects that you have selected. So this is going to give you the summary of all the selected items in this import wizard, and once I click on finish, it's going to generate a Bayer file on top of my desktop, which is going to contain all the selected objects from my source system. So that Bayer file is going to act like a zip file. So move that file to your production machine, and again in your production machine open import wizard and now this time use the source as Bayer file, not the server, and target as your production server, and read the content of your Bayer file and update your target. So done without any errors. Now if you go to your local machine, here is the Bayer file which got generated on my desktop. Again log in into your import wizard. So now let's see how can we read the content of that Bayer file as a source. So now here when you want to define a source system, so that is not a server, it's a file. So I'm going to choose the file. Now browse and select the desktop machine sample Bayer file, open it and click on next. What is your destination? Now provide your destination server information. Now it's going to read the content of your Bayer file and show you what are all that you have. So even then if you select all these options in your Bayer file, if that exists, it's going to show you. So obviously I don't have all these selected in my Bayer file. I have selected only report and universes. Same thing once again. Next. Now it will ask you, since I'm reading the content from your Bayer file and updating my target, how do you want to update your target? Something like, what should I do if I find the same file name in your target production system? Do you want to overwrite it, or you don't want to import it, or you want to import it as a different name? So these 3 options that you get it when you move the content from one server to the other server, wherein in the target server if you already have some content, so this type of conflicts that you get it. So what do I need to do if I find the same file in your target? Based on your requirement, you need to choose the option, but since this is the first time that I'm moving, so never matter whatever the option that I choose. But if it is for the second time that you're moving, then you need to choose, do you want to overwrite it or you don't want to import it, and all those options. Click on next. Next. Now you'll be able to see the content whatever that you have in your Bayer file. These are all the reports that I have chosen. So I'll select all of them and click on next. Next. Then now you will be able to read what are all the content that you have as a summary, and as soon as I click on finish, it's going to update your business objects server target. I'm not going to click on finish because I don't have any other server. So in this manner you can move the content from one server to the other server using import wizard, and the best practice is move it to a file, and from that file use it as a source and move the content to your target. Don't directly move from source to target at a time. The reason is you're going to have your backup, what content that you have updated at so and so time in your target machine, if you store that content in a Bayer file. But if you directly move the content from one server to the other server, you won't be able to understand what content that you have moved ultimately. If the production server is down after moving the content from the source, then how do you know which content that you have chosen at that time? So if you have moved it to a file, you can always read that file and see the content, what are all that you have updated. So source to a bar file and bar file to your target is the best practice. That is about import wizard. Any questions? Let me give you the material for that. So it's just like moving the file from one server to the other server, but whenever you get the conflicts, how do you want to handle is what the options that you need to choose in the import wizard. And related to transportation, how you do in SAP BW, the same type of transportation that they have introduced in 4.0, which they call it as LCM, life cycle management. So the advantage of that LCM is, uh, so now from the latest version onwards, there is no more import wizard. They removed the import wizard tool and they started using LCM. So even LCM is used to move the content from one server, dev to test or test to production. But while moving, the additional features that you get with LCM is you can schedule the time so that the migration happens on fly without any manual operations required. Like how we schedule the reports, you can also schedule migration. Select all the contents what you want to move it into your production and set some time. Once the time reaches, it does automatically. So like that, you can upgradation time, you can set it at once the time reaches, it's going to upgrade the content. And at the same time, if you want to roll back whatever that you have updated, that is also included in LCM. And apart from that, if you want to change the properties at the time of moving the content to your production server, you can also do that using LCM. So these are all the new topics that they have introduced from 4.0 onwards. So this LCM is capable of handling the migration, and for upgradation, so this is just migration, right? For upgradation, they have introduced a new tool called Upgrade Management Tool, so wherein it's going to not only move the content from older version to the latest version, it also converts the version of the content what you have chosen from the source. So this is the link for import wizard, and let me give you for publishing wizard. That is for publishing wizard. So that is about import wizard and publishing wizard what we have in 3.1 version. So now let's discuss about scheduling options what we have in Business Objects Enterprise. So after publishing all these different types of reports into your Business Objects Enterprise, so how do you run the report and how do you schedule the reports? Let's see. So once you publish it, a developer, Business Objects developer or Business Objects clients, so they'll be able to interact with these reports, whatever that they have published in Business Objects Enterprise, through this InfoView URL, which is a browser-based application. You just need to run that URL and provide your login credentials. And once you log in, so here you'll be able to see the list, document list, which is going to show you the content of your Business Objects Enterprise. And my favorites, you can add your own favorite links, like how we add some hyperlinks as favorites. You can also add some favorite reports into my favorites, which is specific to the user who logged in. And then my inbox. Even this inbox is specific to the user. Inbox is something like, let's say in Business Objects Enterprise, you have around 1000 different users. And you want to share some information with one user to the other user of Business Objects. So you can send him some message. You can send an output of a specific report to the inbox of the other user. It's going to act like an Outlook inboxes, wherein you can share the information between multiple users. But this is specific to Business Objects, wherein you can send some messages to the internal BO users. So now go to the document list and navigate through the folders, and here you can run the reports in two types. So one is wherein you can browse through the folder and double click on the report which you want to see the output. So this is known as on-demand view. On-demand view in the sense you're trying to view the output at a specific instance of time by simply clicking on refresh data, which is going to show you the current data. So this type of, so wherein here for the customer you are going to give view only access, read only access, so that he can only refresh the content and see the output, and he can analyze the data. But if you are a developer, you always get this option called edit. So this edit option will be available only for report developers, so that if the customer wants to modify anything in your report design, you can do it on fly through the browser itself by clicking on edit button. It's going to open the edit window wherein you can edit your web intelligence report. So that edit option will not be available for the customers who runs the report. They will be only able to see the output. So this is edit mode, and if you want to change anything, you can always change it. So that is about Webby report, how we run the reports on demand. And in the same manner, we can also run the reports which are crystal reports on demand. Browse through this, feature examples, and double click on that, which is going to show you the output. But crystal reports, you cannot edit it through browser. If you want to edit anything, you need to ask your report developer, so that he is going to open this report in Crystal Reports Designer, and he'll modify that. Now whenever you want, so this is the saved data, whatever that you have with the report, which is an old instance. If you want to see the current data, click on refresh button. Now it's going to hit the database and to refresh your report. So this is the latest data. So in this manner, customer can view the output of your report, which is known as on-demand viewing of your report output. Now other than this on-demand report, you can also schedule these reports so that you can send the output of your report to the target customers. So how do we schedule the reports? Let's see. So let's say here I have a report, and if you want to schedule a report without running on demand, right click on that, and here you have an option called schedule. So once you select that schedule option, so the first option what you need to provide is the instance, whatever that you are going to generate, what name that you want to follow, the title of your schedule instance. I want to live with the default one. And the next option is recurrence. Under this recurrence, you need to provide when do you want to schedule your report. Is that now or hourly basis, daily basis, weekly basis, which is recurrence. Now in the sense it's going to schedule only one time as of now. But if you want hourly or daily, for example, let's say I'll select daily. As soon as you select daily, how many times that you want to schedule daily? Only one time. At what time that I want to start this schedule? Set some time. Every day I want to execute this report at around 8 o'clock in the morning. Select that time, and you also need to select end time. This end time is, since you have selected daily, up to when I need to run this report. Something like today I've executed this report and even tomorrow I'm going to execute at 8 o'clock. So what is the end date for that? Do I need to do this daily execution for 1 year or 2 years? So that is what the end date means. So this operation, whenever you want to schedule a recurrent job, you need to have a start time and an end time. You have to choose, is that you want to do it for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. So you need to choose that option so that with that option, it's going to execute daily at 8 o'clock for 10 years. So that is recurrence job. So you can do daily, you can execute weekly, monthly, after a number of days, all these different options that you have for your calendar. So I'll show you as of now only once by scheduling it. But once you add that schedule and all other options, from there onwards it's going to be automatic. So that's how they schedule your credit card statements. The banking sector, what they do is they develop a report and they'll schedule the job in such a manner. It has to run the report, and at that particular time, whatever the data that they have in the backend database, it picks that credit limit and whatever that you have used so far, and it's going to generate a report, and that report will be exported to a PDF file, and that PDF file will be attached to the email ID, and that email ID, auto-generated email ID, will be sent to the customer. So they won't generate manually. So it's an automatic process, and even sometimes you'll be able to see that in the mail. This is auto-generated mail, you cannot reply. So that's how they schedule the reports automatically by setting some time. And once your billing period comes into the picture, maybe if it is every month 15th is your billing cycle, then they'll schedule it on 15th, whatever the limit that you have in it, it's going to generate the credit card statement for that. So that is how we set some time while scheduling it. I don't want it for recurrence. I just want to show you for now. I'll select it now. And then the next option what you have is formats and destinations. Same thing what we discussed. Since you are executing this report at so and so time, the output of the report, in what format that you want. Do you want Web Intelligence format or Microsoft Excel format or Adobe format or comma separate? So I want the target output in PDF file, not as a web report. So that is format. And what is your destination? Okay, I have scheduled your report, I have executed, I got the output, I exported that output to PDF. Then what do you want to do? Where do you want to send that PDF file? That is destination. You need to choose the destination. These are all the different destinations that you have. The first one what you have is inbox. Inbox in the sense, inbox of the other user of your business objects enterprise. File location. File location in the sense, I want to move this specific PDF file to a shared location of a shared drive. Something like you have a shared folder in your network. I want to move that file to be generated in so and so directory. Then select this option. FTP server. FTP server in the sense file transfer protocol, custom application for moving the files. Then you need to provide host, user ID, password and directory information for FTP server. And the last one what you have is email recipients. If you want to send it to an email address of your customers, like Gmail account, Hotmail account and so on, then select this option. So by default here I'm going to choose inbox of business objects enterprise. Now, once you select an inbox, to which user inbox that you are going to send. So in order to provide that information, expand this destination options. Since you have selected inbox, now the first option what you have is use the job server's default. Because job server is responsible to schedule the report, you have some settings, default settings related to the job server. So in the job server, if you have provided any users, it's going to use that user as a destination account, and it's going to send that to the default account. If you want to define your own destination, then uncheck this option. Then you will get the list of users what you have in your business objects enterprise, and select a specific user to whom you want to send the output. I've selected the classes user. Now, the target name, the name of the schedule instance, how do you want to generate? Automatically generate, or if you want to specify anything, specify. So specific name, which name that you want, you can manually enter, or otherwise you have some predefined things. Title of the report which is going to get it. ID, like OpenDoc ID that we discussed, that ID will be generated. Owner name, or date and time, or email address. So I want date and time, so that your target PDF file will be in the form of date and time when it got scheduled. Then, so this is what the destination. And next, cache. So you need not worry about this cache. This is for scheduling a target report wherein you want to use preload cache, which is going to improve the performance. And coming to the events, so this we are going to see scheduling based on a trigger. As of now, I'm not doing this. We'll discuss this event server later. And then scheduling server group. While scheduling a report, if you want to select a specific server group, then if you have any server groups here, you can choose this, or otherwise use the first available server option, which is default. What is the purpose of this server group? The purpose of this server group is, in real time, you might have added multiple schedules at so and so time. For example, I have set some schedule on 8 a.m. every day, web intelligence documents around 100. So that once the time reaches, your business object server starts scheduling all those 100 reports at a time. But based on the hardware configuration, whatever that you have, business objects web intelligence job server with one CPU that consists of Intel Core 2 Duo processor can handle parallelly 8 different jobs to be scheduled, not 100. But you have selected 100. The hardware capacity is not that much. You can schedule only 8 parallelly at the same time. Then what happens to the remaining 94 schedules? It has to wait once it is done with that 92, first 8 job, and once it is done, then again it picks next 8. So in a series manner, if your job server is busy, your schedule has to wait once it completes. In that scenario, what they'll do is, they'll install your business objects enterprise in multiple CPU machines, 2 CPU, 3 CPU, 4 CPU. So they'll cluster that environment so that you can make use of multiple system configurations. Let's say you have 4 different CPUs, you're going to have 4 different job servers for web intelligence, and all those 4 different job servers put together, they'll create one server group. And you assign that server group to schedule this report. Then what it does is, out of those 4 job servers, whichever is idle, it's going to pick that and it's going to schedule your report. So load balancing will be done automatically. Whichever the server is free, it's going to pick that server and it's going to schedule. So that is what server group means. But here I don't have any server groups. I'm going to use the default job server, whatever that you have, and then click on schedule. Now it's going to show you the status. So these are all previously scheduled instances. So today I have scheduled this one. So it's showing it's still running. refresh, success. If you want to see the output here itself, you can click on this link. It's going to show you the output of your PDF. This is my PDF file. But I have selected that this PDF file should be sent to the user big classes inbox. So I'm going to log out and log in as a big classes user, and let's see if I have any message in my inbox. There you go. The current message. Let me refresh once again. This is the current message with today's date. So here I got a new message, and if you want to see the output, double click on this. It's going to open the PDF file. So in this manner, you can send the output of a report to a specific destination, and it's going to send that to the specific user, whatever that you have chosen. So that is how we schedule reports in business objects. So any questions? No questions. Same manner, you can also schedule crystal reports. If you have any prompts in your report, you need to provide prompt values as well before you schedule the report. So go to crystal reports, select a specific report, right click, schedule. You'll get all the options. And in crystal report, you might get additional options like print settings as well. So you can also filter before you schedule the report. You can apply your own filter condition while scheduling your report. And database logon, because crystal report directly connects to your backend database. If you want to change the database connectivities, you can change it here. And remaining everything is same: recurrent schedule and the destination, events, and server group. Yes, we are using same options in 4.0 as well. You might have some additional features, new features that they might have introduced, but same thing in 4.0 as well. Because as I said, latest version should always support 100% older version, backward compatibility. So obviously you're going to have all these options, 100%. In addition to that, you might have new options which you need to learn. That's it. Yeah. That is about scheduling reports. So now we are talking about events, right? So let's see what are all events means. You want to schedule dashboards. I'm not sure about 4.0 if they have introduced a new option, but here the dashboards, whatever that you develop, it's not going to be a dashboard design. It's going to be a dashboard output, which is SWF file, right? So SWF file is just a third-party file like PDF or Excel. So you need not require any processing servers for that. But let's see if I have a SWF file, if I can schedule it or not. I don't think so. So this is design. You cannot do with the design. You can always organize it and move the content and see the properties, but you cannot open the design. But let's see the SWF file output. So this is SWF file. So right click. See, do you have schedule option? No. Because this is just a file, so you can always view it, or if you want to move that file, SWF file you can import into your local machine and you can send it to your email ID. But in 4.0, they have introduced Here to execute your SWF file, no servers required to process your SWF file, right? You don't need any server to process your SWF file. This is an independent file. For example, to open your PDF, do you need any server? Not required. But to open Crystal reports, you need processing servers. In the same way, this specific file doesn't require any processing server. But in 4.0, they introduced a concept called dashboard processing server and cache server to improve the performance of the dashboard. Wherein it's going to store the information in a cache so that at runtime, rather hitting the database to get the data, it's going to read the content from the cache. So that in that manner, they've improved the processing speed of dashboards. But scheduling options, I need to check if you have any option, but I don't think so that you can schedule dashboards. Okay, you don't have scheduling option. So that is about scheduling. Scheduling, you can schedule Desky report, but Desky report is not in the picture. You can schedule Webby report and Crystal reports. That's it. So now let's talk about events. So we are going to discuss these topics tomorrow. So we are done with the scheduling, but tomorrow we'll see what does it mean by authentication and application security. How do we apply a security, managing server groups, objects, calendars. Scheduling objects is what we have seen today, and how do we manage events. So this is our agenda, which is wherein to discuss complete content of your business objects enterprise. So these are all what we need to discuss, and once we are done with this, complete training is going to be finished. And one more class required to show you 4.0. So what are all new tools that they have introduced? Yes, what's your question, Krishna? So I'm done with today's session. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Just a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so we saw dynamic parameters in Crystal reports, like from we can import the values from any column, the table,
Yes.
and then we can use that as a parameter, right?
That is going to be a static parameter.
So for example, I have a scenario and I don't know how to do it. So something like, so if we just include country name, we get all the countries, right? Like which is in the
distinct
table,
countries.
right?
Yes,
But if I want to include a static parameter also, meaning like I want an all, saying like I want ALL as
okay.
a field, but I
Okay.
don't want to include the table because I might be using that table somewhere else also, and I don't want to mess up the data in the table.
Okay. Okay. So you're directly reading the content of a specific table, which is country column, and extracting distinct countries.
Right.
That's why it is going to be dynamic parameter.
Right.
Right. Now, apart from that, you also want a custom value to be added to that.
Right.
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 Give me a second. So here I'm going to choose one table, which is customer table. Click on next, and I'm going to add some fields. Finish. Now, if you want to apply a prompt on country, create a new parameter, country, which is dynamic. Now, if you choose the field, it directly chooses from distinct values of your country. One option what you have is select this prompt as static. Actions, so select country field here and append all database values. And after appending it, add one more all. So I have appended all the values. So if you want to add one more, add all. This is one option that you have. Okay. Now with this option, when you make it a static parameter, the disadvantage with this is if any new country has been added in your backend database column, that won't be reflected here. You need to again modify it. Again, you need to open your Crystal Report Designer and add a new country what you have got in your backend database. That is the disadvantage, but you'll be able to see the list with custom values, whatever that you want. Clear? Now, I want my parameter to be dynamic, but still I want all. If that is the scenario, then you need to build your custom list of values by writing a query. How? I'm going to add, go to database expert, along with this customer table, I'm going to add one custom SQL add command. Here what I'll do is, I'll write a statement like this, select distinct country from customer. And then union select all from customer. So what I'm doing here, I have just selected a country column, which is distinct country column, and I'm appending using union all. So ultimately I'm going to get one column and I'm going to use that, but go to the links and make sure that you don't link these two tables, because this custom query, whatever that I have added, is just for generating list of values. I don't want to use this to display on my report. So click on OK. No problem if you have not linked. No need to worry about cross join, because I'm not placing that field on top of my report. Now what I'll do is I'll create a new parameter field. Now this time I want dynamic parameter, but here while choosing the field, rather choosing it from my table, I'll choose it from my command, the country whatever that I have. Okay, now I'll click on OK. Now I'll apply filter condition on my report. I want to filter the data that is coming from customer table. Country is equal to the country parameter what I have created, and click on OK. Now this is the list along with all. Once you select all, how do you want to handle? You need to write your own formula for that. Clear? But I would suggest don't go for all. This type of logic we used to use it in XIR2. In XIR2 we used to use this logic appending all. But in 2008 or 2011 version of Crystal Reports, you have an option of making prompts optional, right? Then what is the use of appending all? I'll clear everything, whatever that I created here. Let me delete this. gonna delete this parameter and I'm gonna delete the command whatever that I created. Now okay, I'll show you what exactly an optional prompt means. I'm going to create a new parameter directly from my table without adding any custom code or something, whatever that I did so far. So I've selected country and I'm going to select dynamic prompt. I'm going to select country field from my table. Now under options, see here you have an option, make it as optional prompt true. Okay, I made this as an optional prompt under the properties of my dynamic parameter as true and click on OK. Now this is an optional parameter and I'm going to apply a filter condition on my country which is equal to my parameter country. Now click on OK. Now optional prompt means you can run the report without choosing any value. So this is the drop down list wherein you have to choose a specific country, right? But I don't want to choose any country and I want to run my report, which means if you don't want to choose a value, you don't want to apply filter condition on country. That is optional. When you click on OK, I'll be able to see all the countries. See US, Canada, so on. You have all the countries information. But whenever I refresh again, it prompts me, and if I want specific country information, then choose that value from the drop down list. For example, Australia. Click on OK. It shows Australia data. You need not write any formulas based on all conditions because here you have optional prompts. If you already developed a report with using all in your formula, then you need to modify it. Clear? So this is the best option wherein these optional prompts are not available in older version which is XIR2. That's the reason that they have added all option and they're handling with all when the customer selects all what you need to do and all those things. But here you need not. Optional in the sense if the customer runs without selecting any value, which means that you don't want to apply filter condition on top of that. Clear? So that's it for today, and we'll discuss the admin part tomorrow, and it might take 1 or 2 more classes, and maximum by the end of this weekend we are going to close this VO training session. Okay, so if you have any questions you can always send me an email. Assignment answers, I think that I have already provided you the link where you can get the answers, right? Okay, so I've provided a link where you can get the answers. There is a documentation and they have clearly mentioned how do we get the answers and what are all the answers, step-by-step procedures. Okay, so I'll check that and I'll send it to you, or if someone else have that content, please share with Krishna. So talk to you tomorrow then. Thank you. Bye-bye.